Something that I've seen just really bash so many people over the head, something that we've talked a lot about within the harem ourselves, has been Imposter Syndrome. And no, I don't mean your arch nemesis come to kidnap your child in order to start some big brawl in which he most absolutely will beat you to prove a point. No, I'm talking about that crushing sense of doubt that happens to all authors, and it doesn't matter where in their career, where they feel like they just aren't good enough, that their stories aren't good enough. You don't have to be some major author with some huge achievements to your name in order to feel imposter syndrome, or the crushing doubt and fear that usually is associated with imposter syndrome. It's something that can be absolutely debilitating. So in this video, I want to address that and also use it kind of as a bit of a segue to recommend a really great manga which is getting an anime adaptation this year, Mysteries, Maidens, and Mysterious Disappearances. And no, I don't want you to read it just for the plot, but because it is really a great horror story that has some really great application for us as novice authors. Mysteries, Maidens, and Mysterious Disappearances follows the adventures of Sumireko and Ren, who are two co-workers at a bookstore who engage in all of these mysteries, trying to solve what is happening to people as they disappear all of a sudden. What really causes them to vanish? Are they dead? And what are the weird monsters, demons, or supernatural phenomena that are created in the modern day based on our fears? And one of the very opening fears, and this one is again very applicable to authors, is that Sumireko wants to again be an author just like she was back when she was 15 years old. In the second chapter, we learned that when she was in high school, she got published. She wrote a story that editors and publishers really enjoyed. She was given tons of praise. She got really excited. She got to work on her next story, and then it was swatted down. They're like, no, this isn't a good story. Maybe you're just lightning in a bottle. Maybe you're just a one-hit wonder, and you really don't have anything else to give. Well, she loved writing, and as we learned later on in the manga, writing was a form of communication for her. It's a way that she was able to get out of her shell and resolve things that just weren't going well in her life. Reading books was a way of calming down when she had bad social interactions with other people. So writing was liberating for her. It was her life. And so she wanted to make a career out of it because it was something she was super passionate about. But rejection after rejection after rejection, and she begins to feel like, you know what, maybe I'm not really that great. When her coworker Ren tells her about how one of their other coworkers has been writing her own stories and even now has a light novel publishing deal, Sumireko's like, oh, that's great, so good for her, and she's 18 years old too. Oh, man, she's just got to be loving it right now. And Ren's like, well, when are you going to come out with your next book? Because you're an author too. And she's just like, I don't want to talk about that. She goes on home and just falls into depression, and she thinks about what it was like, how once it was so great to just be this author, so full of ideas, possibility, and because she was so young, people thought she was a genius, but now that she's in her 20s, no one is really paying any attention to her, and they all want to find the next new hot young thing. And so as a result, Sumireko is just relegated to being a bookstore worker, where she loves spending time around all of these stories and these great books, but she just cannot bring herself, even though she's got the time and she has the means and she does have the imagination and the skill to write an incredible new story, she feels like she can't do it. She is suffering from imposter syndrome. She no longer feels that she has the skill because no one appreciates it now. No one in the publishing world thinks that she is worthy of their time. And even though she's already accomplished something, well, that was when she was younger, and I've just lost the flair, I've lost the touch, that was lightning in a bottle. And we see how she is just depressed. Now, the way that she overcomes her imposter syndrome is something I would not recommend, which is she picks up a cursed book, reads it, and reverts back to her younger self, and then proceeds needs to write while slowly dying a really painful death from blood, being that she's reverted back to a younger girl, but she actually has all of the blood from being an adult now crammed into a little body, and it begins to pour out in a disgusting way. Yeah, this is a horror story. But thanks to Ren intervening and helping her to break the curse, she's able to avoid death, and she's also able to slowly start overcoming this bout of imposter syndrome, and she's able to start overcoming writer's block and everything else that just plagues authors on a daily basis, thanks to having Ren around, who is her supporter, who's the guy who wants her to write the next book and is encouraging her to write and says, I will read it and I'll give you feedback and everything. Ren is being the number one thing that anyone who's dealing with imposter syndrome as an author needs, and that is you must have someone in your corner. You need a writing group. Now, if you currently find yourself as an author who doesn't have a writing group, that's what we as Camille's Harem are here for. We can be your writing group until you find one within your own circle. If you need help with something, ask about it in the comments. If you have a question about one of your stories, ask about it. If you're suffering from writer's block, talk to us. Especially if you're feeling crushing doubt, if you're feeling bouts of imposter syndrome, come and talk to us. We are here to help you out and to overcome all of those stumbling blocks. That way you can be the best novice author and later on, hopefully, the best career author that you can potentially be. However, as we read further into Mysteries, Maidens, and Mysterious Disappearances, we see that Sumire still is unable to really settle down and write her next novel because, well, this is the next big thing that she's got to do, and she doesn't do it. She's not setting goals. Number one, in order to beat imposter syndrome, you need a supportive writing group. But the second thing you need in order to beat imposter syndrome is that you need writing goals. The reason why you need these goals is so that way you get back to writing. Your doubts and your fears are preventing you from actually doing what you love to do. And here's what you gotta do. Just sit down and write a paragraph or write a page. And I guarantee you this is that if you set those small goals for yourself to write just a paragraph or write just a page, you are going to explode with creativity. You're going to be like, oh, I've got another idea. I'm going to write that down. Oh, let me just finish up writing this conversation. Let me just bang out this little bit of world building. And next thing you know, where you thought you were just going to write one page, you end up writing 3 or more. That happened to me recently. I was having a little bit of a burnout situation. I was like, I need to write. Fine. I'm just going to write like a page. A page is easy enough to write. Next thing I know, each day I'm writing 3 or more pages. Even though my goal was only 1 page, and I was like, I'm only going to stick to 1 page. Lo and behold, the creativity flowed. Having that goal of just sitting down and writing a little bit does immense good for overcoming imposter syndrome. Now, I will add, keep the goal reasonable. No one is expecting for you to write an entire novel within a week. You shouldn't be expecting that from yourself. And if there is anyone telling you that you should do that, you are free to go ahead and give them a slap over the head because that is unhealthy and unreasonable. No, if you're dealing with imposter syndrome, if you're dealing with crushing doubts as to your own writing abilities that you can even sit down to write, you just need small goals because you can sit down and either write by hand or type it out 1 paragraph or 1 page. You can do that. I do believe in you. Your doubts are saying otherwise, but don't listen to your doubts because your doubts are stupid and they don't know what they're talking about. You are more than capable, but you don't need to burn yourself out with doing way more than you can, and you don't need to hold yourself up to some lofty expectations because that just sucks the fun out of all of it. And that takes me to my third bit of advice. Have fun. Even if you're like me who wants to make a career of being an author, if it's not fun to write, you need to take a step back. You either need to step back from that story and find something more fun to write, or you need to take a step back altogether, calm yourself down, go out for a walk, go and enjoy some ice cream, watch a fun movie, hang out with friends or hang out with family, do something nice and relaxing, take the dog out for a walk, pet your kitty, put your face into their fur and rub it around, do something fun like that, and then get back to writing. Recenter yourself. Have fun. That will go a long way to defeating that imposter syndrome. So right there, I've already given you 3 good bits of advice for overcoming imposter syndrome: having a writing group, having fun while writing, and setting small goals to help you proceed. There's one other thing that you should do in order to defeat imposter syndrome, and that is receive feedback. This is where a lot of people really get held up because it is scary and it's also somewhat embarrassing to get critique and feedback, especially if you know or feel that you know that your story just isn't any good. But you need the feedback. You need to hear other people's critique, and there's some good reasons for why. One of the big reasons why you need feedback is because, for instance, if you have your writing group there helping you out, receiving their feedback is absolutely critical in showing them that you appreciate all of their dedication and hard work on your behalf in supporting you. It really says a lot when someone who's been supporting you hears from you that thank you so much. Thank you for taking time to read my story, showing me where I've messed up or what I can do better. I'm going to take it to heart. That makes them want to support you even more, and it's just a very positive cycle right there. Another reason why you need to receive feedback and criticism is because it does help you to become a better author. At the beginning of my writing adventure, was horrified, terrified of writing dialogue, but thanks to encouragement from my friends, them showing me what I was saying that just wasn't very natural, trying to find voice for my characters and all that, again, hearing feedback and criticism from Nathan, from Camille, from Jed, from Scott, V, Zaza, Danielle, and everyone else who's been helping me out right here really helped me to improve to the point where I love it, writing dialogue, almost too much so, and sometimes I have to reel myself back in sometimes. But another reason why you need to receive criticism and feedback, even though it's terrifying, even though it's embarrassing, even though it's that thing that imposter syndrome is telling you is going to break you if you get it, is because by receiving criticism and feedback, you also develop a thicker skin towards it. You learn how to deal with it appropriately in your own way, to the point that where eventually when trolls start coming around and berating you, you can sort them out and say, yeah, they don't have anything good to say. But when someone does have something good to say, even if I feel like it's overly negative, I can recognize when they're really coming from a good place, and I can recognize my own faults and deficiencies, which we all have, and rather than overreacting to it, which is what imposter syndrome pushes us to do, we then can take it in stride and say, thank you for that feedback. Thank you for that criticism, and I'm now going to think about how I can incorporate that to become better, because it's pernicious in this way. Imposter syndrome is tapping into an uncomfortable truth that none of us are as good as we might think that we are, or as we would like to be sometimes, but that doesn't mean that we can't improve and become better. That doesn't mean that we can't have fun, and that doesn't mean that our stories are not connecting with other people, because they are. Our stories are connecting with other people when we share them, and you can become better. You can improve. Imposter syndrome takes that uncomfortable truth and turns it into a weapon against us. But by learning how to take and process criticism and feedback, we are able to take that uncomfortable truth away from imposter syndrome and transform it into armor for ourselves that helps us to become stronger and better and deal with everything that we need to in order to make our works the best. So for Sumiriko, she needs some goals in order to become a better author. She's got support from Ren and from a growing group of characters, which is really good for her, but she's got to have some goals, and she needs to start taking more feedback. She needs to write a little bit more. And as you get further into the manga, you realize that there's a lot of things that are detracting her, but, well, that's the life you take when you decide that you're going to hang out with curses and the likes. But there you have it. Those are my bits of advice for overcoming imposter syndrome, and I really hope that you do give Mysteries, Maidens, and Mysterious Disappearances a read, even for the plot, which I know will turn some people off. I've already seen the comments for the manga, but it honestly is a really great story. I'm really looking forward to how it's received when it comes out as an anime. Woo! But before I go, there's something I really need to quickly put in. I should have put this at the beginning of the video, but I'm sorry right there. Please make sure you're checking out our community tab throughout the month of January. To thank you guys for helping us not just beat 5,000 subscribers, which was our last year's goal, but to go beyond 7,000, we are going to be giving back and engaging with you guys in the community tab. We're going to be giving away some free books in the future. Hey, that's really cool. We're also going to have some writing exercises for all of you authors out there who want to engage in that. But if you're here at our channel because you enjoy the reviews and the analyses and the rants and that kind of stuff, and you're really not too much into writing, well, we're going to have other things for you guys as well. So please make sure that you're checking out the community tab, because that's where a lot of the stuff is going to drop, where you can interact with us directly to either cash in on certain prizes, be a part of certain challenges, or to contribute to the channel in ways such as like having certain kinds of requests fulfilled for various videos and the likes. So again, please make sure you're checking out the community tab. That's where we want to give you guys the thanks for helping us out so much last year. Really, we are where we are because of you, and that really does mean a lot to us. But until the next video, y'all, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing, and until the next video, tschüss.
But how can you stop me if you don't exist?